When Warhammer 2 first dropped in September of 2017, one of the debates that was raging pretty early on was about what role heavy infantry should fill, particularly for the High Elves. After all, their 8th edition army book is chock full of elite infantry choices, but that doesn't always translate well to a game where cost is such an important factor. And as we know, CA elected to drop the elite status from the White Lions of Chrace, giving them a more mid-tier role as armor-piercing shock troops, and threw in Alastar the White Lion for good measure. And this didn't make everyone happy, because in both the lore and the source material, White Lions are top-tier bodyguards of the Phoenix King himself. In tabletop, they have a very similar stat line to their Swordmaster brothers, with lower weapon skill, but higher strength to compensate. And in Steel Faith Overhaul, where today we'll be playing a glorious 2v2 battle, they were returned to their elite status as armor-sundering shock troops at 1100 gold. And so we'll be using a core of them alongside Alastar with Settra the Imperishable on our side, facing off against Thorgrim and Lord Mazdamundi. And by the end of it, there will be quite a few pasted into the sands of Womprat Gulch. But if you're playing with a core of White Lions, you gotta go with Alastar for the thematics. We don't have Core Hill, but Alastar fits the role pretty nicely, and he was added through Make-A-Wish Foundation, so you simply can't hate on it, no matter how hard you try. And the Puremain Company are the perfect regiment of renown to accompany him into battle. Guardian Aura, Unbreakable, a glorious flowing red mane, and a fantastic stat line. They will carve Saurus and Dawi in half without much issue. And so will Swordmasters, who can inject some combat steroids like Johnny Bones Jones once their HP drops below half. So they can actually pop that plus 16 melee attack buff. It's an active ability, and their armor piercing symbol has disappeared off their unit card, but their split is still pretty much even, so they have almost the same AP ratio as they do in the base game. Looking at the Tomb Kings, pretty eclectic mix. Definitely more designed for countering the Dwarfs with those chariots and tomb scorpions, and the god of chariots himself, the mummy who would dumpster the man, the myth, the legend, Sirtha Ek, blessed be his name. And speaking of blessed Carnosaur and Horde 1 spawnings, touched by the Jaguar god Huachi. These are perfect campaign units, because you gotta work super hard to unlock them, and can only get one in your entire campaign from what I understand. In multiplayer, they're pretty OP, it's just that simple. They have stock and 108 move speed on a Carnosaur, or 92 speed Horde ones with 60 melee attack, who can strike from the shadows. You can't see until they're right on top of you. It's pretty hard to deal with. But remember, SFO has a lot of OP stuff, so when every faction has OP stuff, the OP stuff ain't so OP anymore. But still, the Blessing of Huachi units are probably a little bit overtuned, would probably cap them to 1 in a tournament, but it gives the Lizardmen some great options, and there's no question they pack quite a punch. A lot of skinks and red-crested skinks, the ones that we'll be seeing alongside 10 and 1 when their DLC finally drops, and the artillery duel will begin for now as they start powering the Swordmasters and the Archers from long range. So I like the build from the Lizardmen and the Dawi here, honestly. It's a very good one. Basically what they want to do is meat shield and give their artillery and their range firepower a long time to shoot while we kind of just cut through a bunch of chaff. And that's not going to be the easiest thing ever. I mean, there are a ton of bodies on the field. The Dwarfs have not gone very elite tier. Lizardmen certainly have not. And their killing power is really going to be wrapped up heavily in that Blessed Carnosaur and in those Blessed Horde ones and the Feral Cold ones out on this flank. Their infantry is not going to do a lot, and honestly, in that first charge, Arden taking down one chariot. These chariots are in a horrible spot right now, and Settra, if he's not careful, could easily go down in the opening stages of this battle. But on this side, the High Elves will be charging in, and the Red-Crested Skinks and all the Skink Javelins will hold the front line, but a Wind Blast ripping in from the flank will carve a path, sending hundreds of them sprawling, and the Skinks will learn very early on that they do not want to be going blow for blow with some of the best trained soldiers on the planet. Quick strikes, decapitating Lizard Boys in the front ranks here, and very soon it's just going to be a mass rout. Even with those Red-Crested Skinks, who are more of a melee-focused variant of Skink cohort, they really cannot trade blow for blow with either White Lions or Swordmasters of Hoath, and very quickly, that entire front line will evaporate. But look at the Goon Squad on the right flank for Lizardmen, pushing super hard with all those cavalry going after the chariots, and Settra doesn't really have a lot of tools to deal with that. They did not bring in Necrosphinx this battle, so that might be very tough to deal with a Blessed Carnosaur and the Horde ones out on that side. And the High Elf Mage gonna drop a nice Chain Lightning on a juicy blob of Lizard and Dawi. No Dawi there, actually, just Lizards. And the Tomb Scorpion gonna come in there as well. And that will imbue some terror, and very soon, terror route in the center. But at the exact same time, Lord Mazdamundi doing what he does, moving mountains, destroying Tomb Guard and Skeleton Warriors. They were full HP as that cast started, and right afterwards, they evaporated. And that entire flank pretty much dead now, and that will allow the Carnosaur and all that cavalry to put so much pressure on the Tomb King back line. Settra is not in a good spot right now. He's in a bad way. With some worse dinosaurs, he needs to find a way to make an impact on this battle and get the hell away from that 108 move speed Carnosaur. And that's what he's going to do now. The chariots are moving quick right into the center, into the frenzied skinks, and running them over with that Necrotech 2 Tomb Scorpion, bowling over stuff. And they can't go after Mazdamundi. They don't have that bonus for large, so there's no point going there. And it looks like a banishment coming down as well. So the vortexes from Mazdamundi really ripping that Tomb Guard line apart. Archers for the High Elves getting rid of a lot of the skinks and doing some good damage to the Thunders as well. And the Swordmasters have just carved everything in their path, bisecting a lot of the Dawi and the skink line. And Thorgrim is in a terrible spot. The Grudgebearer does not want to be here. Alastar the White Lion has 78 melee attack. He's got armor sundering. He's supported by his pure main company, and bolt throwers are hitting that large target, and they have that bonus for large. So Thorgrim is big enough on that throne to get hit by that ranged firepower, and he is getting absolutely trash canned right now. And he doesn't really have a good way of escaping either. Phoenix Guard into Dwarf Warriors and Slayers, holding the line for now. Of course, they would rather be fighting dinosaurs, but they'd have no real way of tying down all that cavalry. So they can't really help out. They have to just kind of go into infantry for now. And the Carnosaur is just still on the hunt, doing his Jurassic Park thing. Big Mama coming after Settra the Imperishable and the Tomb Scorpion. And they just have to run for it or they'll die. It's that simple. The Tomb Kings in this battle do not have a lot of options for taking out large targets. And that is definitely going to be an issue for them. Honestly, best way to deal with that now, as the Skinks kind of overrun the back line, is deal with all the Dawi infantry as quickly as possible and then move on to the big threats from the Lizardmen. But Thorgrim Grudgebearer will get scythed apart by Alastar from behind, and he's just going to crumble into an undignified heap, while Settra on the other side being hunted by the Predator, the Carnosaur, and brought down. So at the exact same time, two lords dying on opposite sides of the battlefield, and that means it's kind of going to be an even trade there. But Settra no longer able to make an impact here, and to be honest, he did not have a good time this battle at all. He really had nowhere to go. Carnosaur just hunted him down and ate him for breakfast. Not a very good snack, though, I feel like. Settra would not taste very good, I feel like. Nice charge coming in from that 92 speed Horn 1 unit. Those White Lions having carved stuff apart. Apotheosis going down. And they're really going to suddenly not have a very good time. I mean, they were really winning the infantry fight pretty well. Might have gone down to the Slayers anyway, but with that rear charge, it'll definitely put the nail in the coffin for those White Lions. But the Swordmasters of Hoeth have gotten into the back here, going after some Grudgeraker Thunderers, shotgun variant that have shorter range but more damage. And yeah, White Lion, Jurassic Park time for you, and he will collapse into the ground in an undignified heap, a puddle of his own blood, and the Horde ones will keep moving. Keep moving with that 92 speed as blasting charges arc in from the flank. Looks like a lot of friendly fire damage. I'm not even sure. Maybe throwing at the remnants of those White Lions as they rout. But Slayers are left. The infantry for the High Elves did very well against the Dawi and the Skinks here. But there were a few remnants of them that hunted down a lot of the Bolt Thrower crew and archers in the back. And they've been very annoying. Skinks have a lot of mobility. Swordmasters of Hoeth into melee against Slayers. And that's just straight War of Vengeance porn. If you know anything about the lore and the continent-spanning, gigantic global conflict between these two factions and the grudges that were written to the Damazkron during that time, I mean, there's an element of these factions really hating each other. Elgi and Dawi going at it, and you can see that ferocity, that hatred for each other really kind of spilling over here as the Slayers charge forward and do some belly flops and chop off some Swordmasters of Hoeth heads. And they're giving them back as well as they're receiving, that's for sure. There's a lot of dying on both sides here. It has been a brutal battle so far. Tomb Kings seem to be on their last legs. The Ushabti summon is crumbling. Tomb Scorpion, not in a good spot with the Feral Carnosaur. Not the Feral Carnosaur, that is anything but a Feral Carnosaur. It is a very blessed Carnosaur. Going after the Tomb Scorpion. And with Mazdamundi and the Ancients taking on there too. Zlok, yeah, Tomb Kings are basically on their last legs here. High Elves aren't doing super well right now, but this battle, with the Phoenix Guard charging in and kind of starting to shut down all these ranged units, I mean, even with the Grudgebreakers getting some good shots in, Phoenix Guard are going to be able to carve through Dawi all day. So will the White Lions, and Uranus Thunderbolt raining down on above on those miners. Alastar the White Lion charging forward, and he's going to take an entire volley to the face and paint the ground red with his own blood, but not before he chops off some arms and legs, and this is where he will thrive, that armor sundering and that high melee attack. He can do this all day long. He doesn't want to get shot up too much. He does have that missile resist because of that White Lion cloak. Swordmaster's made it in as well, but the miners charging from behind, a beautiful chain lightning going down, carving a path of destruction through the Dawi and Lizardmen. But the attack, the impetus of this entire charge has kind of been stopped here. And as the Thunder is charged forward now, and they're getting into melee too, a lot of them have used up a lot of their ammunition across the river in this oasis at Womp Gulch. Those Pyramid Company, man, they are slicing and dicing and have been all game long. They are an amazing Regiment of Renown unit, even better than they are in vanilla. I think in vanilla you'll see them in some matchups, like maybe against Chaos, against the Lizardmen, against the Dawi. I think they're all decent options there, but they just have a much better stat line in SFO, and it has really allowed them to rack up the kills. They're pushing 250 right now, fighting these skinks, although there's a weird kind of like dual layer Thunder action going on. It's kind of cool to see the skinks meat shielding for their dwarf brethren. Thunder is getting some nice shots in from the flank here, and the cannon fire opening up as well. And shield of the old ones going down, as you can see they're starting to take that cannon fire and it's starting to shred them a bit. Need to get a charge into those Thunders to silence those once and for all. Just one good charge should be enough to kill. Oh my god, that was so brutal. One charge should be enough to finish them off and get that final surround off that might get those skinks routing. But as the cannons, that artillery fire continues to arc in, you can see on the horizon there, Mazdamundi and those Horrible ones are closing the distance, running into this creek, and they are unbreakable. They are the last bastion. At this point, there is no way for the High Elves and for Settra to win. Settra wasn't going to win anyway. He already got put in the ground by that Carnosaur, but Mazdamundi coming in with a big charge. Woo! That was massive. And the Pyramid Company, as the Horned ones charging from behind, will not be long for this world. Pterodon Riders swooping in from above. And there were a couple fails tactically this battle. I was actually more came down to army composition, I think. Honestly, I don't think the High Elf build would have worked well against the Lizardmen much either. The Phoenix Guard certainly could do a lot of damage there, but that was... And the White Lions are good against Cav, and they're good against Saurus, and they're good against dinosaurs too, but they need support. They can't just do it by themselves. And honestly, I think the Carnosaur and those Horned ones would have really put the hurt on the High Elves if the sides had switched. Tomb Kings really did not have anywhere near enough tools to deal with the dinosaurs in any way, shape, or form. While the White Lions certainly got a massive amount of kills in that game, and Alastar the White Lion bolstered them pretty nicely, did a decent number on him himself. Swordmaster's also ton of kills. They matched up great versus the Lizardmen and Dawi infantry, but obviously the infantry wasn't what won them the battle. It was the ranged firepower, and it was the dinosaurs. The Blessed Carnosaur specifically, and those Horned ones. And so there just were not enough things brought this game that could really counter them. And some cavalry, and certainly something like a Necrosphinx would have been really useful. Certainly not as good against the Dawi there, but I think we had enough anti-Dawi tools. We needed to invest more in killing the dinosaur and Cav stuff, and we really didn't. But yeah, I mean, the Settra did absolutely nothing that game. There was something really could do. Killing the infantry that game was never going to be the issue. And the dinosaurs could just kind of hunt him down, while the Slayers and the Grudgerakers kind of arced in with that fire. Thorgrim got put in the ground real quick by Alastar the White Lion, which I was quite a big fan of. That was pretty entertaining. But overall, the 2v2s kind of show the synergy between factions, and I think that the Dwarfs are one of those factions that are really quite amazing in 2v2s, because what they lack is mobility, and any other faction can give them that, and suddenly they are this solid brick wall that holds a line. And with the Lizardmen and Dwarfs working together, they certainly did that and a whole lot more. Kicked ass. Hope you guys enjoyed. See you next time. Peace out.